Lagos never slowed down. Horns blared, voices clashed, and movement pressed in from every corner. The city was alive with pressure, a place where ambition either thrived or was crushed. On the third floor of a modest logistics company, Tunde Adeyemi sat at his desk, careful, organized, trusted. He wasn't rich nor flashy. But he was dependable, the kind of man colleagues leaned on when deadlines loomed. At the office, Tunde's character stood out. He was punctual, precise with his reports, and never cut corners. His supervisors admired his diligence, though some whispered he was too trusting, too willing to take instructions without question. In Lagos, where survival often meant suspicion, Tunde's innocence was both rare and dangerous. At home, his wife Kemi balanced him. Quiet, observant. She noticed the small shifts in his tone, the delays in his answers, the patterns that didn't fit. Where Tunde trusted easily, Kemi watched carefully. It began with a sudden order. Urgent transfer, Mr. Bassi instructed, one morning, sliding a file across Tunde's desk. Sir, approval. Tunde asked cautiously. Do you want to grow? Bassi replied, his voice smooth, persuasive. Tunde signed. Once. Twice. Then again. The transactions became frequent, each one tightening a trap he couldn't see. At home, Kemi worried. She noticed his late nights, his distracted silences. You're not yourself, she said softly one evening. Work, Tunde muttered, brushing it off. But the unease in her chest grew heavier with each passing day. Monday arrived with tension. The office felt wrong, too quiet, too heavy. Then the auditors walked in. Tunde Adeyemi, one of them, called. He was ushered into a small room, questions sharp and direct. Did you authorize these transfers? Yes. Any written approval? No. Do you know where the money is? No. That was enough. The police entered moments later. Mr. Tunde Adeyemi, you are under arrest. This is a mistake. Tunde shouted, turning desperately toward Bassi. Sir, you told me to do it. Bassi stepped forward, calm and collected. I gave you responsibility, he said coldly. I didn't ask you to abuse it. The trap snapped shut. Handcuffs clicked. Tunde's world collapsed. At the police station, Tunde pleaded his innocence. I was framed. I didn't take the money. His voice shook, but the detectives were unmoved. Every transaction leads to you, one officer said. Your login. Your signature. No approvals. No proof of instruction. Another added, right now. You're the one everything points to. That day, in his office, Mr. Bassi leaned back in his chair, a burner phone pressed to his ear. His voice was low, confident. The mission was a success, he said. All evidence points to him. Prison should be his new home now. He continued. Meanwhile, at the police station, Tunde clung to the phone in desperation. He called Kemi. His voice cracked as he explained what had happened. Kemi's reaction was immediate, shock, disbelief, then a surge of determination. Within hours, she arrived at the station. Their interaction was raw, filled with fear and love. Tunde pleaded, I didn't do this, Kemi. You have to believe me. Her eyes softened. I believe you. And I'll fight for you. Kemi wasted no time. She found a lawyer, Mr. Oluemide, a calm, experienced man with a reputation for patience and persistence. Together, they began investigating. They collected Tunde's office belongings, only to be confronted by Bassi. His warning was sharp. If you're seen here again, you'll be charged with trespassing. At home, Kemi and Oluwamide combed through Tunde's laptop, office papers, and documents. They spoke to his colleagues, searching for anything that could connect Bassey to the fraud. But months passed with no breakthrough. Files were clean. Emails missing. Every trail led back to Tunde. Still, Kemi never gave up. She visited Tunde regularly, encouraging him. "Hold on," she whispered through the bars. "We'll find something. I promise." One evening, Kemi asked Tunde, "Is there anything strange you ever noticed about Bassey? Anything unusual in his office?" Tunde shook his head. "No. He was always careful." That answer didn't satisfy her. So she made a bold decision. Dressed in all black, a mask covering her face, she carried a flashlight and slipped into the company compound at night. The gateman never saw her coming. She struck from behind, stole his keys, and crept toward Bassey's office. Her heart pounded, but her resolve was firm. She had to find evidence. Inside Bassey's office, Kemi searched frantically. Files, books, drawers, everything looked too perfect, too clean. Then, footsteps. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness. The gateman was coming. Panicked, Kemi moved quickly. As she turned to leave, her elbow struck a shelf. A notebook fell to the floor. Without hesitation, she grabbed it and slipped out into the night. She escaped, breathless, clutching the notebook like a lifeline. Back at home, Kemi opened the notebook she had stolen from Bassey's office. The handwriting was sharp, deliberate, filled with coded notes and scattered figures. One name stood out, Chief Dorojoia. It was the first time she had ever seen it. Curious, she searched online. The results were unsettling. A wealthy man with no clear source of income, his fortune shadowed by mystery. Kemi rushed to Olumide the lawyer. "This name keeps appearing," she said, showing him the notebook. His eyes narrowed. "If this man is involved, we may finally have a lead." The investigation shifted. Kemi and Olumide began following Chief Dorojoia. They discovered his importation business was a facade, warehouses stood empty, shipments never arrived. He met with Bassey often, their conversations hidden behind closed doors. At clubs, Chief Dorojoia flaunted his wealth, while Bassey, drunk and careless, bragged about his riches. His voice rising above the music as if he owned not just the night, but everyone in it. "That money they flaunt so easily." Kemi's voice trembled, heavy with pain. "Is the same money keeping my husband behind bars, just so they can keep living their perfect lives?" Kemi and Olumide realized the same trick used to frame Tunde could be turned against Bassey. They needed someone who could lure him into talking, a woman he trusted, but who had reason to betray him. They found her, Amara. A sharp, ambitious woman who had grown bitter after Bassey began pursuing her best friend and neglecting her. Revenge and money made her agree to the plan. The day of the setup arrived. Amara was paid half upfront, with the promise of the rest once the job was complete. She wore a wire and met Bassey at a lounge. While Kemi and Olumide waited in a car outside, alcohol flowed freely. Amara flattered him, praising his wealth, asking sweetly how he had become so rich. Bassey, drunk and boastful, leaned closer. "Money moves best when nobody is watching," he said, repeating Chief Dorojoya's words once said to him when they first met. Then he added, "But you have to be ready with a fall guy. Every system like that needs protection." "And how do you find one?" Amara asked innocently. "Anywhere. As long as they trust without question," Bassey replied. His voice dropped lower. "I found mine at the office. He's currently facing trial for financial fraud." The words hung in the air. Kemi and Olumide froze in the car, their hearts racing. Finally, undeniable evidence. With the recording in hand, the police reopened Tunde's case. This time, the evidence was irrefutable. Bassi was arrested outside his office. His face drained of color as officers surrounded him. "Mr. Bassi, you are under arrest for financial fraud and conspiracy." For once, he had no clever words. Across the city, Chief Dorogier received the news in his private club. His calm shattered, though he quickly masked it. He knew exposure was dangerous. Days later, Tunde walked free. At the prison gates, Kemi and Olumide waited. Tunde's eyes filled with relief and gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered to Kemi. She smiled softly. "You trusted too easily. I just paid attention." But the story wasn't finished. In the police cell, Chief Dorogier visited Bassi. His voice was cold, threatening. "If you dare mention my name, I will kill your family." Bassi lowered his head, defeated. The judgment was final, 20 years in prison. And for Tunde, freedom came with a lesson: trust must be earned, not given blindly. Tunde's story reminds us that in today's offices, loyalty and hard work are not always enough to protect you. Just like Bassi manipulated him, many employees are pinned to crimes they didn't commit because they trusted too easily or failed to demand accountability. The lesson is clear: in the workplace, always protect yourself with documentation, question unusual instructions, and never assume that integrity alone will shield you. Because in every system, there are those who look for a scapegoat, and awareness is the only defense.